the reactions to my games, it's like you're either going to cry or you're going to go, Meghan, why? and you know what? A reaction's a reaction. I'm like a middle child. I'm not a middle child, but...
Hello everyone, welcome back to Open Table Adventures. As always, I am Dan DeBaker, and this is TableTalks, where we talk to your favorite tabletop content creators from all across the internet and beyond. Today, I have with me the lovely Meghan. Meghan, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where people can find you.
Hi, I am Meghan. I use she, her pronouns. I am a indie game designer. And good. Yeah. Indie game designer. You can find me most places. You can find a person on the internet at Meghan Lynn for the win. When I'm not designing games, I am probably watching British panel shows on the couch with my dogs and partners. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I write games and I watch British panel shows.
Perfect. That's all you need. Those are the two genders, I think, actually. Writing games and British panels. Those are the two genders.
I'm not complaining about it. It's a nice gig.
Mm-hmm. Everyone who has ever been on this channel would recognize Meghan's work because we played one of your games that you did with Dylan, Appalachian Hunter Hunted, which is such a fun game. I played that with Sin. I guess, last year at this point. Because that
was a while ago.
That was a while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because we got it in like the pre stuff, like before it was actually, I think even before the Kickstarter even started. But speaking of Kickstarter, you have a new game that you are going to be doing for ZineQuest in February. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so starting on February 1st, which is the first month of ZineQuest /Zine month, I am going to be kickstarting a new game. It's called O Patron Mine. It is a solo tarot-based game about the meeting between a mundane person and a supernatural entity, and the pact formed between the two. It is my love letter to the warlock class, and my love letter to character creation games and anthology play. So it is written to either be a standalone game that you can just play as is on its own, or it can be played as a precursor to a longer campaign to help flesh out your character's backstory.
I love that. I love any kind of like deep dive into a character. Because writing character backstories is one of my favorite things to do. So when, I've gotten a sneak peek at the game, it looks gorgeous, by the way, and like reading through it, I was like, oh, these are, even like not thinking of like a warlock, like thinking of any other character, these are really good things just to think about. Is it 2-player or like 1-player? Like how does actual play go?
Yeah, so it is designed as a 1-player game. However, there is a variant that I put in there that is a 2-player variant. So the way that the game is set up is it's based on the major arcana of a tarot deck. You deal a 3-card spread, and your first card is who you have met, the second card is where you met them, and the third card is what they have asked of you in exchange for granting you with their power. And you flip the first card and you refer to a list of prompts. So the way that it's written is written as a solo journaling game that you would flip your card, you would see what the card is, and depending on the position of the card is what type of prompt you will answer, either who, where, or what. And if you wanted to play it as a 2-player game, rather than answering the prompts in a journaling form, it would serve as one person is playing the mundane person, and then the other person, I wrote it with the thought of it being, if you were using the game to create a character for a campaign, your game master could play the patron, and you would use those prompts instead of as writing prompts, as roleplay scene prompts, to roleplay out the scenes. So it could be played as a 2-player game in a role-playing perspective, or it can be played solo or even collaboratively as a written journaling game.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that it sounds so fun. I can't wait for everyone else to be able to see it. Like I said, it's gorgeous. I love any game that has to do with tarot. Just because I've been doing tarot for I guess over a decade now because I'm old. But it's so it's one of my favorite things. I love when games incorporate that. How did you, just to kind of, I guess, broaden the spectrum a little bit, how did you first get into game design?
Yeah,
so TTRPGs in general also.
Yeah, when I think about it, I don't know where time has gone, but I published my first game in 2019, which is wild. But
6 years ago, almost.
Yeah, but really, I was really into playing TTRPGs. I was playing a ton of TTRPGs and was just in a group of friends of mine, all kind of simultaneously started writing games, incredible games. And I was just like, oh, like these friends are like writing such cool things. Like, this is amazing. Like, I could never do that. And then it suddenly became like, but why not? And I'm the type of person that really all I need is like one person to tell me something is a good idea for me to do it. And I did it. So my first game was Session Zero, which is a character creation game. That's card and prompt based, which didn't know it then, but it's pretty much my bread and butter is doing card and prompt based games. I love them. And then after the first game was written, it kind of just opened the floodgates, and now I've written, I would have to look at my itch.io, there's like 20 something games on there, and that's just
a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. But I write
everyone watching this, go check out the itch.io and you can tell for yourself how much there are.
But I write short form games, so it kind of allows me to, like, I don't spend years, well, generally speaking, I don't spend years writing games. This game and a game that is currently in the works for release at the end, like late, like second half of this year, I've been working on for years. Which is very unlike me because I'm an incredibly impatient person, and once something is written, I just want to release it out into the world. So I write short form games, which allows me to kind of just like yeet them out into the world at a rapid rate. I also write a lot of shitpost games, which take me no time at all to write. So the internet's also peppered with those.
Listen, I love a good shitpost. I wrote this when I should have been sleeping, and it came out like vomit, but it came out. If I can make somebody like look at something I wrote and then go, oh, like I know that I've done it. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The reactions to my games, it's like you're either going to cry or you're going to go, Meghan, why? and you know what? A reaction's a reaction. I'm like a middle child. I'm not a middle child, but when it comes to any attention's good attention, when it's a reaction to something silly I've written.
Absolutely. So did you say, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you've been working on Patron Mine for a while, right?
Yeah. So O Patron Mine, I started it, and it's funny because the games that I end up spending the most time on are the ones that kind of like sneak up on me. And like O Patron Mine was something that I just kind of started on a whim. I'm like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if I did like, I've been wanting to write a warlock game or a warlock inspired game for a while because I love warlocks. I don't play D&D really anymore, but I played D&D a lot. And when I played D&D, I always played a warlock. I've played like a half dozen warlocks. I love warlocks. I will only ever play warlocks. And what I love about them is the built-in backstory element that is just inherent in the class that I don't think a lot of the class, like paladins and clerics are probably the only other ones that have like that kind of built in, but I feel like warlocks even more so have just that little something extra built in backstory in the class itself. And I've always wanted to write a game exploring that because I love writing character creation games. I love games that you can play as a precursor to other games, but I also love the class and I hate the stereotypical, like, it's just the devil, it's just the demon, it's just the fae, like,
yeah,
but nothing more than that. Like, so, but I know that it's hard. I know that not everybody sits down and comes up with a massively in-depth backstory. Like, it's hard to think of things sometimes, and I wanted to create something that would make it easier for people who do want something deeper and something more unique and something more their own, but need a little help.
Yeah.
And that was the intention with this game, is like, I want something that's going to allow people to make something that's completely unique to them and their character and their game. And so I just was like, okay, well, what if they were based on the major arcana? And I will say that I am an extreme novice when it comes to tarot. I asked a friend of mine to consult on this because she's been doing tarot for, like you, over a decade, and is very knowledgeable about it. And the biggest thing for me is I wanted to make sure I was like, my interpretation of what the cards meant was correct and that I was doing right, like not misrepresenting anything. And I was like, okay, well, the major arcana are also so unique and like in the imagery that comes with them is like so inspiring. So what if I made a game that drew from that, like drew from the imagery of the major arcana and crafted patrons that are inspired by the meanings behind the cards. And in doing that, I made a lot of work for myself. That's
there's 22.
It went from just 22. So it went from me just going, oh, I'll just come up with like some cool prompts or stuff to like make it fun to make more patrons, went to like, I'm going to study all of these cards. I'm going to interpret them into some kind of supernatural being, and then I'm going to create prompts that answer who are they, where do you meet them, and what do they want in exchange for them giving you your power. And all of those prompts will tie directly back into these cards in this meeting.
Simple.
So easy, like super easy. Did it in like a weekend, totally fine. I did. There were certain cards that took me. I'm looking at you, Wheel of Fortune.
That makes sense.
Wheel of Fortune and Temperance were the two biggest pains for me. They took me very long. Like, some came to me like so immediately, and others were hard. But it was nice to have my friend Emma was looking at everything for me, and I would write stuff and give it to her and be like, just tell me if I'm on the right track. And sometimes she'd be like, she's like at face value, this is right. But really the meaning is deeper than that. And that kind of thing, to like help kind of redirect me. Or she'd be like, no, this is great. And I could keep going down the same path. So like working with somebody who's so knowledgeable about it, like that really helped too, but it also added time to getting it done. So I think all in all, it took me the better part of like 7-8 months to get everything to a place where it could be edited, laid out, all that. So, but it was worth it because this is something like when I read back through it again, like it's something I'm incredibly proud of. It's something that I really love. I love everything I write, but like every so often you get one that you're just like, this feels like, it just feels a little more special.
It's your favorite child, which is fine to have.
Exactly. So and I think a lot of that is because I spent so much time making sure that not only was it just like, are these prompts good? Like, are they intriguing? Like, are they going to inspire people to write things? It's also wanting to make sure that I wasn't misrepresenting the cards, that I wasn't misinterpreting things, like that the inspiration I was drawing was reflective of the practice and the cards, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't misrepresenting that as somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
But it was time well spent, if I do say so myself, because I'm really happy with what it's come in the mechanic. It's very mechanically simple, but still harkens back to like the tarot practice.
Yeah.
Which was something that I wanted also. Like, I wanted it to feel almost like a ritual within a game. The game as a ritual.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. I'd love to segue, you kind of touched a little bit on it, but what were some of like the bigger challenges you dealt with, both making O Patron Mine and also just in game writing in general? What are some of the challenges you come to?
Come on.
It'll focus on you. Jeez. Here's a challenge right now.
There we go. Yeah, the challenge, getting my camera to focus. For the most like boring answer generally is time and energy. I work a day job, like I work 40 plus hours and do this in my spare time and spare time. So sometimes it's like the brain is willing and really eager to go, but I just I just need to lay down, like, or I have to come home and I've got to make dinner and clean my house or other plans and things like that. So like, generally speaking, the biggest roadblock is always just finding the time, and then finding the time while also having the amount of energy it takes to do it. And that is the boring adult answer. But with something, generally what I run into, my biggest challenge as a designer is almost always mechanics. I am not a mechanical designer, and anyone who's seen my stuff knows that I am narrative forward, very mechanics light as a designer. And when it comes to things where I know that something needs to be more mechanical, I get hung up at times where it'll be like, all right, I know I want the game to do X. How do I make it do X? And what I've found recently is the easiest way to figure that out is just to get on a call with another game designer friend and say, I need my game to do X. Can you just let me talk at your face until I talk my way around into figuring it out? And that is the most invaluable tool I have ever discovered. Like, especially like, for example, like doing Hunter Hunted, like when I started the design process for Hunter Hunted, I actually had the idea of the mechanic in my head, the main, like the dice rolling mechanic. But I couldn't figure out the rest of it because I was stuck on the thought that I make too many card and prompt based games, and Hunter Hunted couldn't be a card and prompt based game. I make too many of them. And then I brought the idea to Dylan and I was like, I have an idea for a mechanic and I want the game to be about hunters and monsters. A, do you want to write it with me? And she was immediately like, of course I want to write it with you, which is great. And then we had a call and I was like, well, I don't really want I don't want it to be card and prompt. I don't think that'll work. Like, I don't know what to do with it. And she goes, well, why not? Like, why? She's like, I think it is a prompt game. And then as soon as somebody else is like, why are you imposing these limitations on yourself when this is obviously the best thing for this game? And sometimes I need that. Like, my spouse is very good at reminding me I need to kill my darlings because I am the worst murderer of darlings. I just hold on so hard trying to make things fit, even if I know in my heart they don't.
Yeah.
So, but generally, what takes me, like, I can churn out prompts like a prompt making machine, like a robot that was specifically programmed to write prompts. I can write prompts.
Yeah. Promptomatic. Yeah.
It's everything else that makes a game a game. Like character creation, got it, can do that. Like prompts, yep. But it's when I'm trying to figure out like what kind of mechanic am I introducing here to introduce randomness, to introduce failure or success, to introduce like the progression of time, like anything like that. Like that's always my sticking point. I've gotten better at it.
Yeah.
The more I steal from other games. Borrow. Creatively borrow.
It's the old saying goes, good writers borrow, great writers steal. So that's
And but really having other designer friends that I can go to and be like, hey, can you just look at this for me? I'm thinking of doing this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And sometimes even just getting a yes or no answer is enough to kind of like get me out of the funk. Or sometimes things just sit in my notebook ignored for months and months until I rediscover them and go, I might have been onto something.
Yeah. I do think that's my biggest advice actually to people who are doing like having like writer's block or blocked creatively is to step away, do anything else. Like don't like it doesn't even have to be creative. Like go do something else. Come back to it at some point. It doesn't even have to be the same day. Come back to it months later and like fresh eyes. Realize. Yeah.
And even a day makes a huge difference because like I joke, but it's a very real thing that when I finish the first draft of a game, I immediately close it and I give myself like 24 hours. I'm like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to do anything. 24 hours. And then in 24 hours, I will open it again and I will read it front to back. And the whole time, as I'm opening it up, I'm just begging not to hate it. Because when you're in something for so long, looking at it for so long and piecing it together and all this, like, there's the real fear that you've put a lot of hours into something that you don't like. And thankfully, that's only happened once.
Well,
but the stepping away and coming back with fresh eyes, like even if it's only a day later, is a huge help, both for writer's block and for figuring out what something needs. Like, because you could write a full draft of something and be like, this isn't doing what I want it to do. And then you have to admit that it's not doing what you want it to do, and then you have to let yourself undo and redo things, which is hard.
Yeah, that's the backspace button and the delete button are friends. They are not your enemies. It's fine to trust in them.
That's why I have my editor, Nat, is a really, really good friend of mine, and they've edited all of my games. They are incredible. And having the trust in them that I'm like, I know that they're not steering me wrong. So like, I'll give them something and be like, all right, go ahead. And they'll come back and have removed a lot of stuff. Like they go after it like the killer in a slasher movie. And it's always for the better. Yeah. But it's really hard sometimes to open a draft and see just a bunch of lines through everything. But you gotta trust the process.
Is it worse to see a bunch of lines, a bunch of red marks, or to get something back and to see like almost nothing? To me, I hate when give someone something and they give me almost no feedback back. I would I would rather you tear this apart because I know it's not perfect, and I want you to tell me what's not perfect about it.
See, I am of the very incorrect mindset of first draft, best draft. Everybody is fine. Like, you can have drafts. Like, it's important. It's a part of the process, but not me. Mine has to be perfect on the first go, or else it's not worth writing. which is a habit I'm breaking myself of
Mhm.
because I have a very good editor.
Yeah.
But it is kind of satisfying to see all the lines, but also to have like certain things, like if I'm coming across like something that I know I was really proud of, and to just see like a note that's like, oh, this is great, didn't change a thing, and I'm like,
That's yeah.
because there are times where I write things and I'm like, I'm not sure,
Mhm.
but you've got to get something on the paper in order to edit it. You can't edit nothing.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
Yeah.
It happened a lot with this one.
Yeah. I think, my last question to you for now is it's something I always ask whenever I have like creatives on is what is your number one piece of advice to give to people who are trying to make TTRPGs, trying to make even specifically like the journaling TTRPGs? Yeah. What is your advice to them?
I will give my very abrupt, unhelpful advice, and then I will give actual advice. So my abrupt, not really helpful advice is just do it.
Yeah.
Anybody can write games, but you just have to write them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me doing it. Is I was talking to a friend of mine and was like, I'm like, yeah, like I had an idea for a game, but like I can't write a game. And she was like, says who?
Yeah.
and that's the biggest thing, is like there is no definite, like you're not going to get a message from on high telling you that it's time for you to write a game. Like if you have an idea for a game, just start writing.
Yeah.
And if you start writing, then just keep going until you think you're done. But I think for me, as a game designer who writes games that facilitate storytelling, and that's why I write games. Every game that I write is written so that it can facilitate telling a story first and foremost. And to do that effectively, the most important thing for me, and what I'll tell anybody who asks, is know what you're trying to say. Know what you want your game to do, know what kind of stories you want it to facilitate, know what you're trying to say through it, know what themes you're exploring, and make sure that that is very clear to the person that you're writing it for. Because that will keep you, even throughout writer's block, throughout trying to figure out mechanics, throughout everything. Like if you have a clear image of what you're trying to convey with what you're writing, you're gonna stay on the right track. Like you just need to keep focused on, I know that I want my game to do this, and just keep that in mind the whole time you're doing it, and you'll stay on track with what you're trying to do. Is just have a really clear idea of what you want it to do. And that's something like when I first start writing a game, like the first thing I put is I write the joke name of the game on the top of the page, which is usually, it'll be like space game, or like this was warlock game.
Yeah.
But then the next thing I write is, what do I want this to do? And I write everything that I want the game to do, and then break off from there. So that's the number one, I think, for me.
Totally. 100% agree with that. To wrap up this interview, since O Patron Mine is a game using tarot, I thought it would be fun to give Meghan a little tarot card reading. I have here, this is the Phantom Tarot deck by Paulina Fay. It is gorgeous. The artwork is absolutely stunning. I got it in Salem, so it's official. But
I need to go to Salem now that the tourist season is over.
I went the first weekend of October, which was a mistake, but it was still a lot of fun time. I went it was for my boyfriend's birthday, so it was gonna be a good time because we were together. But like there were so many people. Yeah,
I haven't been since I was. Yeah, I haven't been since I was younger, but I've been dying to go. So I think probably once the spring rolls around.
Yeah. All right. So this is digital, so it's going to be a bit different than a normal tarot reading. I'm just going to do a simple 3-card past, present, future reading. Just because I feel like that's always a fun one to do with new people you haven't read for before.
Yeah.
So I'm
especially at the start of a year.
Yeah. Giving this just a quick shuffle, and I'm going to do this, and I want you, whenever the spirits move you, to just say stop, and whatever card I stop on will be that card.
Perfect.
Cool. I'll do it this way so it's not. So yeah, this will be the first card, which is the pass. So say stop whenever you run.
Stop.
Oops. First card is 7 of Pentacles.
Oh, it's so pretty.
So pretty. All of these cards are so pretty. I always use my little book just to make sure, because there's so many cards. I know I know the vague things, but I like getting the exact stuff. So this is your past. The 7 of Pentacles is a lot about patience and a lot about nurturing your creativity and nurturing your craft. So this is your past. So it's saying in the past you've spent a lot of time having to patiently kind of work yourself up into what you are today. Like you kind of grown yourself from the bottom. But also that has like given you results. Like it's not like you watered the plant and it didn't become a flower. Like you have a full forest. That's what this 7 of Pentacles is saying for your past. So for the present.
Okay. Stop.
Got. Death.
Ooh, new beginning.
Let's see if that's yeah.
I'm like the major arcana. I know. I've become
that one. Yeah.
With that.
So yeah, death. It's not obviously not literal death. It's not. But yeah, it's new beginnings. It's changes. It's kind of getting rid of the old. It's like how they do. They like set parts of forests on fire so new things can grow. That's kind of like that's what your present is right now. Is like you're getting rid of some stuff so that new things can grow, so that you can nurture more things.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you're in that process of change, in that process of beginning. Perfect for the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Let's shuffle this one more time. So yeah, this last one will be your future, your direction. When I'm doing this one, I want you to hold in your mind a question of like something that's going to be happening in your future. Let me know when you have it.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Then say stop.
Stop.
Oh, this is the 2 of Cups.
Oh, love cups.
Yeah, the 2 of Cups. 2s are always lovely because they're always about duality. They're always about kind of a give and take situation. For 2 of Cups, it's specifically, this is saying your future is you will be reaching out to someone. You will be connecting with someone, either someone new or reconnecting with someone. And this someone will help kind of bring something into your life that you were missing. Or maybe not missing, but like maybe like something that will bring more balance into your life. And yeah, this is basically the message to you is to don't be afraid to reach out to someone. The worst thing they can do is, not answer or say no or whatever. Like that's, so yeah.
I'm trying to be more brave about that.
There you go.
Excellent. Those are beautiful.
These are gorgeous. These are my favorite cards I've ever had. Like this, actually, this is funny because it's right at the bottom. My favorite one is the Fool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, which is my favorite card in general, but it's such a
So my favorite card is the Queen of Cups.
Ooh.
I'm a water sign 3 times over. Like,
oh wow,
love water, love cups. Yeah, I love. Yeah, and I also love the 3 of Cups because the 3 of Cups is all about friendship.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces with a Scorpio rising or a Scorpio moon, so that's double water sign.
Yeah,
so
that's I'm Cancer sun, Cancer rising.
Oh wow, yeah.
I'm very sensitive. We're very sensitive water.
We're very sensitive people. Yeah. I hope that reading was enlightening. To send us home, tell us where people can find you across the internet.
Yeah, so you can find me any place that I can be found or want to be found. I will be found at Meghan Lynn FTW. That's MEGHANLYNN for the win. You can find O Patron Mine at kickstarter.com/project/Meghan_FTW/O Patron Mine. I am posting about it nonstop on Blue Sky. That's not going to stop anytime soon. The campaign will run from February 1st through the 28th. So please back it so you can see this awesome game. It's beautiful. The words are pretty cool too, but the layout, Katie ransacked the layout and it's gorgeous. My good friend Mac did the cover. She also did the cover for Weeds in the Waste. She did the cover for Sanctuary and Sentinel. So love her work. So yeah, back it. It'll be great. If you want to see any of my other games, you can find them at meghanlynnftw.itch.io. And I think that's me. Any other place you want to find me, my card link tree thing is on my Blue Sky profile.
Yeah, we'll throw that down in the description. Just to probably make things easier.
So,
yeah. All the links for that, we'll throw that in the description, just to make it easier. And I'll post this as close to February 1st as possible, just to be like, it's coming out now. Go to Kickstarter, check that out. Meghan, thank you so much for coming on. I've had a blast talking with you, listening to your insights as a creator. And thank you everyone for sitting here and watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Make sure you stick around here at Open Table Adventures, where we'll have more interviews, actual plays, recipes, so many other things, especially now in the new year. We have so much planned for you. You can find me, Dan the Baker, at Dan_the_Baker, wherever I want you to find me. And I forgot my own outro for a second. It's been a while. I have been Dan the Baker. This has been Open Table Adventures, and you are always welcome to pull up a seat. Bye-bye.